Welcome to Natural Aesthetics. In this video I'm going to talk about shoulder development and how to go about getting bigger and stronger shoulders as a natural bodybuilder. I've had a couple of requests for this, so I'm going to talk about that now, and if you do have any more requests for any other topics that you'd like me to talk about, then just leave a comment in the comment section below. So to start with, as you look at these pictures, you'll notice that I'm quite unimpressive when I carry more body fat. Everything looks more impressive the leaner you get. However, shoulders I think are even more dependent on body fat than any other body part. You know, they kind of just fade away into the torso when you're carrying more body fat. Really hard to see kind of any development. It's not until you become lean that the separation and the detail becomes evident, and the hard work you've done in the gym can be showcased. So very body fat dependent. It's also very difficult to build big shoulders. It's something that a lot of guys struggle with, that perhaps don't have the genetics for big shoulders. You need to do a hell of a lot of work to build that muscle. I don't have good shoulder genetics in terms of my clavicles are quite narrow. You know, I'm quite a slim guy. I don't have wide shoulders. So it takes a long time to build big shoulders. You need to be lifting a hell of a lot of weight on some of the exercises I'm going to show you next. You know, good genetics in most cases, and you need to train for a good few years. I do think that the widespread steroid usage has really brainwashed people into believing, you know, these massive shoulders. The pumped up look that you get all the time when you take steroids is achievable as a natural. So now I'm going to talk about 3 types of training, or 3 different kinds of exercises that you can do for your shoulders that will help anyone out at any level, really, dependent on your goals, of course. So to start with, we've got explosive movements that require power. So move quickly. You can't do these movements slowly and controlled. They need to be quick and explosive, and you're also reliant on other muscles. So on the dumbbell clean and press, I'm reliant on my thigh muscles, my stomach, you know, a lot of other muscles helping out to make sure that dumbbell goes overhead. But it's extremely beneficial for developing coordination, explosivity, which can relate to other movements. I think this is especially useful for guys just starting out that really don't have that kind of smoothness to their lifts. They haven't developed that coordination and power as of yet. Every single one of my clients does some form of clean and pressing, whether it be barbell, dumbbell or kettlebell. It's an imperative movement in developing full body athleticism, coordination and speed and power. That being said, if your goal is just shoulder size, then you probably want to be doing these movements a little bit less. I think they still benefit you, but you really want to be spending more time on the strict pressing and the isolations. Then you've also got upright rows, which fall into this category. You're using more weight than you can usually handle strict, and the movement is very dynamic, using other muscles to help. Push press, barbell clean and press would also fall into this category. So with these kind of lifts, really you want to be doing, you know, very low reps. I'd say 1 to maybe 5, because any more than that, and you're just going to tire out your torso before the shoulders. Like I said, you're using other muscles to help. You know, if you're doing set of 10 on clean and press, you're going to get so gassed out that you're not going to be able to use an appropriate weight to really get the effectiveness from the exercise. So I'd say 1 to 5 if that's your goals. Of course, they're great for fat loss as well. If you want to lose fat, you can do higher reps then, but your goals are obviously changed. If you're looking to build bigger and stronger muscles, and you want to keep that rep range fairly low. Next up, we've got static strength, so your main compounds: barbell overhead press, seated press, behind the neck press, seated dumbbell press, standing dumbbell press, exercises of that nature where they're still involving other muscles, so triceps, lower back, stomach to a certain extent, but these lifts are generally done a little bit slower, a little bit more control in mind, and you know, if you do these consistently and work on progressive overload, then you can see very good gains in muscle size as well as strength. This should be the bulk of your shoulder routine. You should always have a form of strict pressing in your shoulder routine, unless you have an injury that won't allow you to do that. But yeah, that's the main component of your shoulder routine. So on the strict compound presses, the bread and butter of your training routine, I would suggest between 3 and 12 reps. Kind of just mix it up, really do some heavier stuff and some slightly lighter stuff. There's some exercises that tend to favour slightly higher reps, i.e. your behind the neck press. Next up, you have your isolation movements. So these are exercises that really you want to minimise other muscles So these are exercises where you really want to minimise the work that other muscles do and just focus on the shoulder, so the rear, side and then front head of the shoulder, and you can kind of tweak the exercises around to work different parts of the shoulder. So you've got exercises like dumbbell upright row done strictly, front raises, lateral raises, seated front raises, seated lateral raises. For rear delts, really all I ever do is face pulls, cable crossovers to the rear delts, or dumbbell rear delt raises. You know, most of my rear delt development has come from heavy back work, T-bar rows, bent over rows, stuff of that nature. And then I occasionally throw in a few sets for my rear delts, but it's not something I focus on that much. Generally speaking, you're going to be using more reps on these exercises. I'd say probably 8 to 15. You don't really want to go any lower than that. These exercises don't tend to work that well with heavy loads. Save that for the first couple of categories. The tempo wants to be a little bit slower on these exercises as well. If shoulder development is a real priority, then you can perhaps do full body training 3 times a week, starting off each session with your shoulders. Perhaps on the first session start with your power movements, on the second you can do your strict pressing, and on the third your isolations for more reps. There are countless ways to develop your shoulders. However, the most important thing, as always, is consistency. So I hope the video was somewhat useful. If you enjoyed it, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't already and want to see more videos on natural bodybuilding. Stay strong.